You've been taught that if you don't speak up, you're weak. That if you don't defend yourself, you're losing. That if you stay quiet while people misunderstand you, you're somehow falling behind. But what if I told you that silence is not your weakness? It's your strategy. What if the very thing you've been avoiding is the very thing God is trying to use to elevate you? Because not every battle deserves your voice. Some battles are distractions dressed up as opportunities. Some conversations are traps designed to pull you out of your purpose and into chaos. And every time you feel the urge to explain yourself, to prove your worth, to correct every lie, you've got to pause and ask yourself, is this feeding my future or is this feeding my ego? See, when you're constantly talking, constantly reacting, constantly defending, you stay emotionally tied to things that were never meant to have power over you. But silence breaks that connection. Silence creates space to think, space to grow, space to hear God more clearly than the noise around you. There is a discipline in silence that most people don't understand. It's easy to clap back. It's easy to respond. It's easy to match energy, but it takes strength to sit in stillness when everything in you wants to speak. It takes maturity to walk away when you have the perfect comeback. And it takes faith to trust that you don't have to fight every battle because God is already fighting for you. Some of you are exhausted, not because life is too hard, but because you're responding to everything. You're carrying conversations that were never yours to carry. You're explaining yourself to people who have already decided not to understand you, and in doing so, you're draining the very energy you need to build the life you've been praying for. Silence is not you losing. Silence is you choosing peace over proving. It's you deciding that your purpose matters more than your pride. It's you understanding that not every opinion requires your response, and not every misunderstanding requires your correction. And here's the truth. When you stop talking so much, you start seeing more. You start noticing who people really are without needing them to announce it. You start recognizing patterns, intentions, and distractions that you used to miss because you were too busy reacting. Silence sharpens your awareness. God can't direct a life that's constantly noisy. If you're always speaking, when are you listening? If you're always reacting, when are you reflecting? Sometimes God will quiet your environment just to get your attention, not to isolate you, but to align you, not to punish you, but to prepare you. So let them misunderstand you. Let them talk. Let them assume. You don't have to correct every narrative. You don't have to show up to every argument. What's meant for you doesn't need your defense. It needs your discipline. Stay silent, not because you have nothing to say, but because you finally understand that everything doesn't deserve to hear you. You know what's rare in a world that's constantly moving, constantly posting, constantly comparing. Focus, real, undivided, disciplined focus. Not the kind that lasts for a moment, not the kind that shows up when you feel motivated, but the kind that stays when it gets boring, when it gets quiet, when nobody is watching. That kind of focus is a different kind of power, because the truth is most people aren't stuck because they lack talent. They're stuck because they lack direction. They're watching too many people, listening to too many opinions, chasing too many things at once. And in trying to do everything, they end up becoming nothing. But when you decide to focus on yourself, something shifts. Your energy stops being scattered and starts becoming intentional. See, the world will try to convince you that success is about keeping up with trends, keeping up with people, keeping up with timelines that were never designed for your life. But your calling doesn't require comparison. It requires commitment. And the moment you stop measuring your life against someone else's highlight reel is the moment you begin to truly see your own path clearly. Focusing on yourself is not selfish. It's necessary. It's choosing to pour into your growth instead of being distracted by someone else's progress. It's waking up and asking, who am I becoming, instead of who is ahead of me? Because the only person you are in competition with is the version of you that settled, the version of you that doubted, the version of you that almost gave up. And let's be honest, it's not easy. Because focusing on yourself means you have to face yourself, your habits, your excuses, your patterns. It means you can't hide behind distractions anymore. You can't blame others for where you are. You have to take ownership. And that kind of responsibility can feel uncomfortable. But that discomfort, that's where growth lies. When you truly lock in on your focus, you start to notice something powerful. You stop reacting to everything. You stop needing validation. You stop chasing attention because you're too busy building something that requires your full presence. Your time becomes valuable. Your energy becomes protected. Your vision becomes clearer. And here's what most people don't realize. Focus is the real flex, not showing off, not talking about what you're going to do, not proving yourself to people who don't even understand your journey. The real flex is discipline. The real flex is consistency. The real flex is waking up every day and doing the work even when nobody is clapping for you. Because when you focus on yourself, you align with something deeper. You align with purpose. You align with the plan that was designed specifically for you. And suddenly you are not rushing anymore. You're not comparing anymore. You're not distracted anymore. You're moving with intention. So while the world is busy watching everyone else, you stay locked in. While others are seeking attention, you stay committed to your growth. While they're making noise, you're making progress. Because when your focus is right, everything else will fall into place. We live in a time where everything feels like it needs to be shared. Every idea, every plan, every step, you feel this pressure to announce it, to post it, to say it out loud so the world can see that you're doing something. But not everything God places inside of you is meant for public consumption. Some things are sacred. Some things are still forming. And if you expose them too early, you risk damaging what was meant to develop in private. Not everyone deserves access to your journey. And I know that can be hard to accept, especially when you're excited, when you're passionate, when you finally feel like something is shifting in your life. You want to talk about it. You want to celebrate it. You want someone to affirm it. But you've got to be careful because the wrong ears can carry the right vision into the wrong atmosphere. Everybody can't handle what God is doing in you. Not because it's too big, but because it doesn't belong to them. And when you share your vision with people who don't understand your calling, they will try to interpret it through their limitations. They'll question it. They'll doubt it. They'll project their fears onto it. And if you're not grounded, you'll start shrinking what was meant to stretch you. There is a difference between community and exposure. Community pours into you, supports you, and helps you grow. Exposure, when it's premature, can drain you. It can make you feel like you have to perform instead of develop. It can make you chase approval instead of alignment. And suddenly, what started as a pure assignment becomes a public performance. Some of the greatest things you will ever build in your life will require privacy. They will require you to move in silence, to work without applause, to grow without constant validation. Because when you keep something protected, it has space to become strong. It has space to take root. It has space to evolve without the pressure of outside opinions. And let's be honest, oversharing can feel good in the moment. It good. I view a sense of connection, a quick affirmation, a temporary high. But what happens when the likes fade? What happens when the opinions come in? What happens when people start watching, but you're still in the process? Now you feel pressure. Now you feel exposed. Now you feel like you have to prove something that was never meant to be proven in the first place. God doesn't need an audience to bless you. He doesn't need you to announce your next move for it to be powerful. In fact, some of the most divine shifts happen in quiet places, behind closed doors, away from the noise. That's where clarity is built. That's where strength is formed. That's where your foundation gets solid. So you have to learn the discipline of keeping certain things to yourself, not out of fear, but out of wisdom. Not because you're hiding, but because you're protecting. Protecting your peace, protecting your vision, protecting the version of you that is still growing into who you're called to be. You don't owe everyone access. You don't owe everyone an explanation. And you definitely don't owe everyone a front row seat to your becoming. Some things are meant to be revealed only after they're ready. There are seasons in your life that won't make sense while you're in them. Seasons where things get quiet, where people fall away, where doors close without explanation, and you're left wondering, what did I do wrong? But what if it's not punishment? What if it's preparation? What if it's preparation? What if the silence you're experiencing isn't emptiness, but transformation happening beneath the surface? Because healing doesn't happen in chaos. It doesn't happen when you constantly surrounded by noise, opinions, and distractions. Real healing requires space. It requires stillness. It requires moments where you are forced to sit with yourself without the filters, without the performance, without the need to be a nothing for anyone else. And I know that kind of quiet can feel uncomfortable. Sometimes it even feels lonely, but loneliness and isolation are not always the same thing. Isolation, when guided by purpose, is a place of rebuilding. It's where God begins to deal with the parts of you that you've been avoiding, the wounds you've covered up, the habits you've justified, the pain you've normalized. In the noise, you can ignore those things, but in the quiet, you have to face them. And that's not easy, but it's necessary. Some of you have been trying to heal while staying in the same environments that hurt you. You've been trying to grow while still holding on to the same patterns, the same conversations, the same cycles. But growth requires separation, not always permanent, but intentional, because you can't become a new version of yourself while constantly revisiting the old one. And that's why these quiet seasons matter. They strip away the distractions. They remove the noise. They create an environment where your soul can breathe again, where your mind can slow down, where your heart can process what it's been carrying for far too long. It's in these moments that clarity begins to form, not all at once, but piece by piece. Healing is not loud. It doesn't always look like progress. Sometimes it looks like rest. Sometimes it looks like stepping back. Sometimes it looks like saying no to things you used to say yes to. And sometimes it looks like silence, choosing not to respond, not to engage, not to reopen doors that you've already asked God to close. You have to understand, God is not trying to take something from you. He's trying to get something out of you. The doubt, the fear, the insecurity, the need for approval, those things cannot go where you're going. So before He elevates you, He isolates you. Before He expands you, He heals you. And yes, it may feel slow. It may feel like nothing is happening, but just because it's quiet doesn't mean it's empty. There is work being done within you that no one else can see. Layers are being peeled back. Strength is being built. Identity is being redefined. Strength is being built. Identity is being redefined. So instead of resisting the quiet, lean into it. Instead of running from the stillness, learn from it. Because the version of you that comes out of this season will not be the same as the one who entered it. And when the noise fades, you finally hear what truly matters. There's something powerful that happens when you stop talking about what you're going to do and you just start doing it. No announcements, no constant updates, no need to convince anyone that you're changing. You just move differently. You show up differently. You think differently. And over time, that difference becomes undeniable because results don't argue, they reveal. A lot of people are spending more time explaining their vision than actually building it. More time defending their choices than committing to them. And what happens is you get caught in a cycle where your words are doing all the work your discipline is supposed to do. But real transformation doesn't need a microphone. It doesn't need approval. It doesn't need validation every step of the way. It just needs consistency. And consistency is quiet. It's the early mornings when nobody is watching. It's the late nights when nobody is clapping. It's the decisions you make when you could easily fall back into old habits, but you choose growth instead. That's where the real work happens, not in what you say, but in what you repeat. See, people can debate your words. They can question your intentions. They can doubt your plans, but they can't deny your results. They can't ignore the shift in your life when your actions start aligning with your purpose. They can't argue with a changed mindset, a discipline, routine, a stronger version of you showing up day after day. And here's the truth. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. The need to prove comes from a place of insecurity. It comes from wanting to be seen, wanting to be acknowledged, wanting to be validated. But when you are secure in who you are becoming, you don't feel the need to explain it. You just embody it. Let them talk. Let them doubt. Let them misunderstand your silence as an activity. Because while they're busy forming opinions, you're busy forming results. While they're watching, you're working. While they're questioning, you're building. There is a different kind of confidence that comes from knowing you're putting in the work, even when nobody else sees it. It's not loud, it's not performative, it's grounded, it's steady, it's unshaken by outside noise because it's built on internal discipline. And when the time comes, when the results begin to show, you won't have to say much. Your life will speak for you. The doors that open will speak. The growth people notice will speak. The peace you carry will speak. The consistency you maintained in private will become visible in public. But that only happens if you stay committed when it's quiet. If you keep showing up when it's hard. If you keep showing up when it's hard. If you keep believing when there's no immediate evidence. Because results take time. And in that time, your faith is being tested. Your discipline is being built and your character is being shaped. So don't rush to announce it. Don't feel pressure to explain it. Don't waste energy trying to convince people of something that hasn't fully manifested yet. Just stay focused, stay consistent, stay silent, and let your life do the talking. There's a tension that lives inside of all of us, the tension between what we want right now and what God is preparing for us in the long run. And if we're honest, most of us struggle with that space in between, because we live in a world that celebrates speed, fast results, instant answers, overnight success. So when things don't move as quickly as we expect, we start to question everything. We question the process. We question ourselves. And sometimes we even question God. But just because it's not happening on your timeline doesn't mean it's not happening at all. There is a kind of work that takes place in the unseen, a kind of alignment that you cannot rush. Doors are being positioned, people are being prepared, lessons are being taught, and all of it is happening in a timing that is far greater than your urgency. Because what's meant for you is not just about arrival, it's about readiness. If you got everything you asked for, the moment you asked for it, would you be able to sustain it? Would you have the discipline to maintain it? Would you have the wisdom to manage it? Would you have the wisdom to manage it? Sometimes the delay is not denial, it's development. It's development. It's God making sure that when the opportunity comes, you don't just step into it. You're able to stand in it. But waiting is hard. Let's not pretend it's easy. Waiting will test your patience. It will test your faith. It will make you feel like you're standing still while everyone else is moving forward. And in those moments, the temptation is to rush the process, to force something to happen, to take shortcuts, just to feel like you're making progress. But anything you force will require you to maintain it in your own strength. And anything built in your own strength will eventually wear you out. There is peace in trusting God's timing, even when you don't understand it. There is strength in choosing to stay focused, to stay grounded, to stay committed, even when the results are not immediate. Because faith is not about seeing, it's about trusting. Trusting that what is being worked on behind the scenes is just as important as what will eventually be revealed. And this is where silence becomes your companion again. Because when you're truly trusting, you don't feel the need to constantly explain your delay. You don't feel the need to justify why things haven't happened yet. You understand that your journey is not a performance, it's a process. So you keep showing up quietly, consistently, faithfully. You keep doing the work, even when it feels like nothing is changing. You keep believing, even when there's no visible evidence. You keep growing, even when nobody is noticing, because you know that timing is not something you control, it's something you align with. And alignment requires patience. Every season you're in right now is shaping you for something greater. Every delay is refining you. Every quiet moment is strengthening you. You may not see it yet, but things are moving. Pieces are coming together. Paths are being cleared in ways you don't even realize. So don't let urgency make you forget what you've been called to do. Don't let impatience push you out of alignment. Stay focused on your growth. Stay silent in your process. Stay faithful in your waiting, because when it finally happens, it will make sense why it didn't happen sooner.